Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. Hope you're doing well today. So, welcome to another video, another episode of Albion World News. I do apologise, I'll just say before we get into anything else, I've actually been really ill the last couple of days. My voice is just completely dead. My throat is just absolutely dying right now. So, I do apologise if my throat's a bit weird today. So first things first, we're going to go over like the news of the week, so to speak, the major events that have happened this week. Obviously, we've had the whole DDoSing incidents. They've been huge in the week. Albion have kind of assured us, we'll see it on the forums, Albion has kind of assured us that they're putting countermeasures in place. It takes time to set these up and get them right, so it's not something that's going to be set up immediately, but right now they're really struggling. It sucks, but they've assured us things are happening. My trust is with them, so hopefully this happens in the next couple of days. We get back to doing the good stuff. The other major event is the whole Iron Bank incident. So, to give a brief description, we're actually going to go to Carly on, to give a brief description of what actually happened with that. Effectively what happens is they own, I believe they own, like, one of these plots close to, like, the main town centre. So one of the highest price, hardest to lock down plots. And they own basically just an entire plot. They've got one of every major building. The idea is that they're using this to make money. Iron Bank being an economy guild, that's their main purpose in the game. They want to be good at the economy. So they've done this, and effectively what's happened is the gold sellers come in with illegal money, and they've tried to buy out the plots to push them out of the city. They don't want other people having a good economy. They want people to need money and therefore buy money from gold sellers. It makes sense. So what they've effectively done is he came in with illegal money, put a lot of money in, a ridiculous amount of money into buying these plots. Something that the Iron Bank managed to buy out just because they have a good economy, but they managed to do it once. The next time they would have never been able to survive that hit, and obviously through that they've spent a lot of money doing that as well, trying to retain these plots. The devs then offered them some either compensation or basically give them time to explore the issue. Iron Bank wasn't particularly happy with either of it, and it was handled poorly on kind of both parts. Iron Bank went out. I can see why they were annoyed and they wanted justice, and I get it. They wanted things to happen with them. Obviously, Sandbox as a company are currently dealing with gold sellers as a whole. That's kind of why these DDoSing things are here. That's why I've kind of linked them together. Obviously, Sandbox fighting the gold sellers is what's causing the DDoSes, and obviously the gold sellers is what's caused Iron Bank's issue. So it's a big circular argument. Ultimately, I wish they still played the game. It sucks that they feel like they don't have any place left in the game. They're not interested in it at the moment. I know a lot of the Iron Bank members have left. Not surprised. They really didn't have the greatest experience dealing with the Sandbox team. But it is what it is. So that's the two major events of the news events of the week. Let's get into the map and Hellgates and stuff like that. So, just before we get into anything else, Hellgates at the moment, typically I would say 5-1's kind of, 5-1-6 is kind of the average. There are a lot of teams now running in 6-1. I actually saw a team in 7-1. Jagger's team, Nilfgaard, obviously High Five, No Life, all these guys have been running 7-1 occasionally for a little while, their main teams at least. But yeah, I'm starting to see a lot more people dip into that sort of 6-1-7 area. But at the moment, I'd still say 5-1-6 is kind of the average. Yeah, so that's for obviously red, black Hellgates. For yellow Hellgates, I couldn't tell you. Still haven't actually managed to do one. Not like to try and get into them is just crazy hard at the moment. Going over the royal constant, a lot of people have said they not really interested in the royal constant, so I'm just gonna sort of brush over who owns the cities, that sort of thing. We're just gonna brush over it really quickly. So, of course, Bridgewatch is owned by Zorn. Looks like Zorn's actually done a lot into royals. Limhurst is owned by Vendetta. I don't actually know which alliance Vendetta is in. Let's have a look, shall we? For anyone interested, this is a great method. Vendetta is EWA, so the Echo Silence, Echo Shira, that alliance. That's Vendetta as well. That is Grey. Not really heard of Grey. I think they owned it last time as well, and Zorn owned Martlock, with Nilfgaard owning Carleon still. They've defended a couple of attacks. I know there's been a couple of dodgy attacks there, but we're not really going to talk about that too much. Basically, what was happening is that City fights, because the server was full, that you couldn't actually see your opponents. It just became an AoE fest and hoping you hit somebody enough. It was a bit dodgy. Moving into Anglia then. So on the left of Anglia, we've still got this sort of zonal control area. We've got Fura at the top here. Kings down here with Zorn, Zerg Alliance on the side. That they've kind of owned that for a little while. They just have it on lockdown. I think Zorn actually have their city built up there. They do, yeah, T7. So I think they're just using that because they got the city plots. They're just going to hold this area. You've got Kings and Fura down here a little bit, although Blackout seem to be making a bit of a comeback to where they were. GG Alliance still holding this area down. We've expanded a little bit, but not too much. And then we move back into King territory. All of this just is owned by them. Furia, not actually sure of Furia who owns them, who they are. And then we get into Black Mamba. Black Mamba owning a lot, actually. I still think this is the greatest flag, by the way. Criminal owning that one. Black Mamba, as well as, I don't know who owns this. Who? Echo Desolencer, okay. But yeah, Black Mamba, nothing's really changed since last week. So Titans, again, holding all this time down. They don't really go out and attack people, they just hold everything. But they're holding places all over the shop. It's really interesting to see. Bottom here we have High Five, and I don't recognise this flag, actually. Orcs, okay. Orcs to Honduras. Interested to see these guys are still holding this. They've been attacked a lot by like Brazil forces and stuff like that. Guilds trying to get in. Like, this isn't the hardest time to get in. Obviously, don't go for someone like Black Mamba, who is going to be a hard fight, but there are teams that aren't the best. They aren't top 10 teams in the game that own siege castle siege camp points. You can get into the Black Zone with a smaller guild right now. Just hold a couple of plots, and it's definitely worth doing. Moving over then into Cumbria. So I have to say I'm still really impressed by this. Cumbria is relatively big. If you look at the size, Anglia is huge. Cumbria is fairly big, and then Mercia's quite about the same sort of size. But the EWA Alliance just owns almost all of this. This is all them. It's just insane. Hammer and Sickle got this. I believe they just can't take the city off them at the moment. That's the Hammer and Sickle's main plot. But pretty much every other Hammer and Sickle territory has just been annihilated out. And EWA holding just all of this currently. No Life trying to defend itself here. But again, being attacked as well by EWA. So really just putting force down here and holding the entirety of Cumbria. Now, last Albion World News. Wow, I've gone very invisible there. Last Albion World News, the title was The Rise of Zerg. So we'll go over the leaderboards in a second, but Zerg last week had these two and these two, I think, and they've now got these four, and they've pushed down here, they've taken all this, they hold the city, well, they hold the farm of the city plot there, and we're starting to see Money Guild and the Oops Alliance having to put a bit of a fight. War Legend tried to push in here, managed to take this siege camp territory. Doesn't look like they've been able to push out. They've got a couple of territories here, but nothing major. Then you have obviously Exertion, now part of the Zerg Alliance, pushing out. Last week they had 3 territories, or they pushed the 3 territories, now got 5. They're going to push across, and again, Oops are kind of stuck in just this area here. If they don't manage to push out and push at least one of these directions away, they're going to get sandwiched a bit. So again, I still think that Zerg could do a lot of work here against them, and I know that they've had a lot of success in things like GVGs. Looking at leaderboard rankings then. So Fame this week hasn't gone on for too long. I believe yesterday was actually the reset, if I'm right. No, it can't be yesterday. I don't know when the reset was. But it's not been going on too long, but still 18.1 mil Fame already. Obviously a big chunk of that's got to be from crafting. That's huge amounts of Fame to be getting in this time. That's an interesting one. So he's got 14.3 mil Fame that he's managed to do this week alone. The only thing I can imagine is putting blocks into buildings, but isn't in a guild. So don't know. Instagrammy. Wow. 75.1 mil total fame. Again, crafters. Spout's been pretty much on the top of the leaderboards every week. Giant Killer. I'm going to try and find the first one that isn't just crafting fame. Delicious Smoke. Delicious Smoke's been a monster, actually, holding basically this since release. Yeah, just a huge amount. 7.4 million. Isn't the most in the world, isn't the least, though. It's still a lot of work. 2 mil kill fame and then 25.4 mil crafting fame. It's a good round number. He's still holding a lot for doing every bit of content. It's interesting to see. Moving on to kill value then. So, Kuna Matata, Louis, Zapek, Kapoka, Subara, like that's the no life main team. These guys are monsters. Like running, there we go, running in 7-1 gear. Yeah, these guys are absolute monsters. I actually forgot to say, so just two things before I continue the leaderboards. First things first, I'm trying out my camera, trying to get a couple of settings right. Obviously, it hasn't quite worked this time. We'll be improving in the future. I wanted to use my camera a bit more on recordings. I've got everything here now. I've got a green screen camera and all this, and I don't actually use it. The other thing is, in terms of like GVGs now, this sort of area, 6271. Moving over to Cumbria. Cumbria, from what I've seen, is 6271, maybe a 72 baller set, but that's kind of pushing it at that point. Like the top GVGs in here, like the important ones might be a 72 baller set, but other than that, it's going to be 6271. Over here, we're going to start seeing 72, 73, maybe even start pushing into 81, 82s very, very soon. At the moment, from what I've been seeing, it's 7-3 baller sets, then 7-2 consistent sets after that. I actually forgot to say that last time. So yeah, going back to leaderboards, kill value and stuff like that. Yeah, Black Mamba. These guys have been all about Hellgates and stuff like that as well. Yeah, looks like it. So, again, 7-1, 6-2 there. They're running some good gear at the moment. You then have Jagger and his team running 6-1, actually. That's surprising. I've actually been seeing a lot more of these guys in 7. I actually saw these guys in 7-1. I think they're just doing 6-1 because they don't want to put the gear up if they're not going to get the gear back for it. Makes sense, I get it. Fleet actually putting in work this week, had a great fight the other day, I believe, against Blackout, and that's really pushed their fame up for the week. Last Mohican, yeah, 6-2 on each side. This was actually a Hellgate, a GVG, I believe. Moving on then, we've got Silver Collected. Again, a Billionaire Boys Club. Wow. Still don't know how people earn this much silver so quickly. It's incredible. I'm skint right now, as you can see. But yeah, I imagine that's just chest farming, probably. Resource value, mil resource value already. That's just that's some intense gathering. That's pretty impressive right there. I imagine at this point though, unless you can gather tier 8 enchanted resources, you're just not going to be up here. Again, that probably says the word. Gather is all of my life. And then obviously territory zone on more guilds. So I'll move into the guilds quickly. Kill value, Black Mamba, Nilfgaard, No Life Exertion, and Fleet. So obviously Fleet had a massive GVG against Blackout, so that's kind of pushed their kill fame up for the week. But I mean, 21 million, it didn't push it out by that much. That's incredible that they managed to do that in a week. That's really impressive, especially for a low Outlands guild. That's just really impressive. Exertion, 22 mil. Not surprised. These guys have been putting in work for the last couple of weeks. No Life Hate, actually pretty much their own alliance, isn't it? There's no one else there. So again, impressive to see. No, it's just a small guild. It's only like 100, almost not even 200 members, and no one else really in the alliance. Like, that's impressive that these guys are putting in this much work. 23 mil, lots of Hellgates done by these guys. Hellgates are their life. Nilfgaard, not surprising. They've done a lot of GVGs. They've been pushing in hard into Mercia. You're going to start getting some serious kill fame from that. And then Black Mamba actually holding the top. Pretty impressive. Moving on then to Fame. Gentleman Tea Party. Again, both Oops Alliance. Oops is 2,325 members at the moment. Just an important thing to mention. I'd just like to throw this whole situation out there. Not one of the top 9 is actually part of the Arch Alliance. Arch being what? Let's actually have a look. Nearly 9,000 members and they have 10 territories. This is the definition of a Zerg guild. They invite anyone in, pretty much. And there's no real organisation there. So, actually, Rest in Peace has got 5 of their 10 territories, and Rest in Peace are a Royals only guild. These guys are just not really irrelevant, not really relevant right now, considering how much of a powerhouse they were at the start. They had a great start to this, and people were a bit worried. They've put in work. They put in work at the start, but it's really fallen off for them now. Black Mamba, ex-members of War Legend, ex-members of Envy, moving over to do their own guild, putting in absolute work, taking the top spot right now. These guys are monsters. 241 million mob fame done so far. That's really high. Oops and Tea Party, Gentlemen and Tea Party, both part of the Oops Alliance, had Mercia on lockdown since release. It's not surprising that these guys have a lot of fame right now. Team Casualty got the entirety of Cumbria basically to themselves right now. I'm sure these guys are putting in work with that as well. Exertion, 95.9. I think this was a lot higher at this point last week. But again, still, this is massive, massive numbers. Just to put into perspective, I've been doing loads of Hellgates, like our entire guild's been putting in work this week, and we've done 36.5 mil. It's just nothing compared to these guys that have just got it on lockdown. They know what they're doing. But again, Arch really not anything to be... it's a 9,000 member alliance, and that's great. It doesn't mean anything nowadays. Moving into Silver Collected. Gentlemen. I don't know how Gentlemen do it. They do it every week. It's really impressive to see, but yeah, it's just the amount of money they have on lockdown. They must be farming something like Circling Vultures, the T8 Castle, because that does give a lot of silver. If they're farming that all day, they'll get a lot of fame, which makes sense then, as well as chest farms. I'm sure they've got their methods, but it's impressive the amount of silver they're farming. Nearly almost 15 mil ahead of the next person. Resource value, 13.4 mil, Echo of Silence at 10 mil. EWA putting in work. That entire alliance, I would say that's the alliance to look out for. Less than 2,000 people and 53 territories. We'll look at territories in a second, but these guys are putting in work right now. Gia, I've already heard of this. Oh, they were the other guild that tried to hold Cumbria. Didn't really work out to them. EWA have put in work against them. Obviously Black Mamba, Titans, High Five, Orkstick and Durus, all in that sort of right hand side of Anglia, all over here. They own a lot of territories over here, so they've got this side pretty much on lockdown. And then going to, in fact, actually we can do that one now. So this week we have Black Mamba owning the most amount of territories for a single guild. Money Guild now owning 16. Let's actually look at last week. So Black Mamba have gained 1, Money Guild have lost 1, Echo of Shiro gained 1, Echo of Silence. Echo of Silence have dropped 2, Nilfgaard and Zorn have pushed up now. Again, everyone was giving Zorn so much grief at the start of this beta. They've come back, and between them and Nilfgaard, which have been aligned since the start, owning 28 territories right now is huge. So yeah, lots of territories, but very similar actually. No one's really losing too many. Going to the alliances then, let's just have a look at kill value. So Arch, 9,000 member alliance, 75.9 mil kill fame. 2,000 man alliance, 80.6. 2,500, 70. Like, we'll just ignore Arch. Honestly, it's just a complete Zerg guild, Zerg alliance. It's pointless. War Legend, I have the utmost respect for War Legend, but honestly, being involved in a 9,000 man alliance and not really doing anything with it is just kind of bad for them. EWA putting in work again. EOS wins again. EWA, that alliance, putting in absolute work. Zerg putting in work as well. But yeah, interested to see these guys again. They've popped off a little bit more than last week. Actually, it's very similar last week. What's GN? Oh, it's the Gentleman. Moving into fame then. So again, considering the numbers, almost a quarter of the numbers, but actually like 100 mil less, it's pretty bad. But there's some big numbers. To get that in a week is just insane. Silver collected, 283 mil. It's a lot of silver being collected. Resource value, I'm actually quite surprised at how big that jump is from 5th to 6th. King's obviously putting in work with their gatherers right now. And then territories owned. This is where it gets interesting. EWA actually owning the most amount of territories right now, joint with Gia, which is surprising. Oh, but obviously, so, excuse me. What we've actually got here is EOS wins again, holding the entirety of Cumbria pretty much. Forge Arm owning the majority of the right-hand side of Anglia, and then Oops owning the majority of Mercia. So interesting to see that. You've got Zerg then that's a little bit in the left-hand side, a little bit in the right-hand side. They really don't work though, like that's incredible. That's basically 3 guilds just performing massive. Kings, Mercenaries, they're owning, the Filthy Casuals Alliance owning a lot of this area up here, as well as obviously all these down here. Fleet and the Fury Alliance owning a fair bit up here, and then Fleet owning sort of down here. They owned a lot more last week, owning 3 territories now. Ooh, moved around there. GG. Don't know how many we owned last week actually. GG, 12 and 12, so yep. And then Arch owning 10 with a 9,000 man alliance. 5k gold bounty. I still love this flag. I think this flag is the best in the game. But yeah, so interesting to see that actually that basically 4 alliances that own a good majority of each continent. Well, in fact, 5. Kings own a lot of the left-hand side of Anglia as well. These 5 just own a massive chunk of the world, but it's still quite split. It's not one alliance taking everything as it was. Oops don't own everything. Arch don't own everything. Like, it's really, really spread. It's really cool to see. So, guys, hope you've enjoyed this. I apologise for the camera. I'll try and get it a little bit better for next time. Other than that, tell me if you enjoyed the music in the background. I'm just putting on basically any non-copyrighted music I can find on Spotify. Tell me if you like having the camera there. If you've enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me you like it. It's always nice to hear. Other than that, guys, I'm going to go give my voice a rest because it feels like it's on fire right now. Thank you for watching and catch you later. Goodbye.